Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we are in the wood shop because the shop itself needs some attention. I've been working in here for the last couple of years for a lot of small woodworking projects, and the layout is pretty bad, and the workbench situation needs some cleaning up. So what we're going to do today is build new workbenches and rearrange the entire shop. So the current layout right now is table saw. I got the door right there. Table saw just to the left. Some miscellaneous shelf space. Right now I've got the belt sander and the lathe on there. Vacuum kind of just haphazardly in the middle. I've got a mobile cart with the planer, router table, bandsaw, and there's a joiner on the back side. That cart's going to stay the same. I'm going to actually keep it in about the same spot, but rearranged a little bit. Then we move over here. We've got the drill press and chop saw, and then some dead space, clamps, and the traditional woodworking bench. This is going to stay the same because I actually have been liking the layout on this, but the whole rest of this has to move. Basically, big thing is I got this table for the drill press, and with the table in place, I can't really use the miter saw as well. I usually have to lift it up or shove it out of the way. Drill press is bolted down, so can't really just move that, as is the miter saw. The other thing is I put the miter saw in the dead middle because I thought that would be nice and convenient, because then I can cut most things and I can get a 2x4 or just any sort of dimensional 8-foot piece of lumber in there. The issue is if I need to cut something that's not cutting it in half, I've got a problem. So what we're going to do is this area is going to be taken up by the table saw. That way I can slide it out if I need to, and then slide it back in for storage or for small cuts. I'm probably going to make a crosscut sled for it because that's what every YouTube maker is doing these days. And then the miter saw is going to go right here where the table saw is, because that way it'll kick out a little bit, and then I can shove a board through here and I can have the door open and the board sticking outside for the longer cuts. So that'll work really well. That's still going to get shoved in the corner, and I'm going to take the drill press and put it somewhere here, close to the lathe. We'll see where the space ends up, and I'm going to probably take the belt sander and shove it in that dead corner for now. The belt sander and the lathe both kind of float around. They don't have a real home because they don't get used all that much, so they mostly are going to live on a shelf and then come out when they're needed. And then the small stuff, I'm going to take my compressor and shove it under the woodworking bench, and vacuum is going to live in that corner in a nice little cubby, and I'll probably have a dust collection system kind of cyclone thing set up. And then I've got that new fangled DeWalt table saw. We're going to be using that a lot today to rip down the boards, and that's going to actually live kind of in that orientation, but over there right next to the door for easy access under the miter station. So that's kind of the gist of it. So let's get that guy set up and rip down some boards. So I think I got a little ahead of myself because I didn't tell you what I'm going to do for the workbenches. So I picked up some 2x4s from your favorite big box construction store, and what I'm going to do is similar to what I did with the traditional bench, except this one was made of 2x3 because it was COVID and they were expensive and I was poor. But I'm going to basically do this, but with 2x4s. We're going to cut the rounded edges off on both sides, leaving me with about an actual 1.5 by 3. And then I'm going to laminate them together butcher block style like this. And what we're going to do is have one that's going to come out right here, and then go just behind the table saw, and then end at the table saw here. And then similar to the kind of janky shelf situation I got over here, we're going to have a nice L-shaped thing coming along. So I have the shelf on the back side, and then it's going to kick out to about 3 feet from the wall for the miter saw station. So I think that will work really well. But yeah, so first thing to do is to do it. So let's get started. One down, about 1 billion to go. Alright, I've got about half of them cut. There's 20 there. That should be more than enough for the first bench, which I'm going to need to build first because the table saw needs a place to live. All the other stuff can get moved around to other places, but I really can't get the table saw out of the building. It's heavy. So this right here is where the miter station shows its limitations, because I got 4 feet to there and about 4.5, 5 to there. And I need to cut some beams that are 6 foot because the table saw plus this cabinet is a little less, I think it's about 30, or about a little less than, I think it's like 66 inches, so a little bit shy of 6 feet. But I'm going to cut them to about 6 foot lengths. That way I don't have to worry about the end, because I'm just going to come and trim off the end real smooth. But I do need to cut those, so that does mean I need to get the miter station, or the miter saw, out of the miter station so I can move it outside and make those cuts. Alright, I've got them sitting here ready to get glued up on some bar clamps, or pipe clamps rather. So I'm doing it in 2 sections. You'll see why, but the gist of it is so that I can glue that together and then glue this together separate, trim off that end so it's nice and flush, then I'll glue it together and I'll trim off both ends, both end ends, nice and flush. I'm also going to probably do a little mitered section right there, just so it looks nice and pretty. So this is actually 1 board short of what I was going to do. This should be 17 boards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 17 boards. So I'm going to cut the last one at a 45 and do a nice little miter. I thought about doing a miter over there, but it's a little too much right now. So, yeah, we're going to keep plugging away with that. And let's start the glue up. Alrighty then, all clamped up. Probably not enough clamps, but it's what I got. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to finish ripping down the rest of the boards for the other bench. Alrighty then, got those guys all glued up. So now time to clean out the inside of the garage, or clean out the inside of the wood shop to make room for everything once it's dry. Alrighty then, so it's installed. I've got that corner just propped up a little bit right now. I'm going to eventually kind of build it in a little bit. But yeah, so it's mounted in. I did goof a little bit. I tried to measure off of the table saw with the level to try to get the right height for the workbench, but turns out the saw was at an angle, so I overshot a little bit, so I'm about a ½ inch high. So I'm going to have to deal with that in a bit. But so what I'm going to probably do is just shim up the table saw so the table saw sits higher. And then I won't have to worry about any of that. So yeah, it's in. Obviously I've got the DeWalt one inside. It's the kind of the end of the day. It's getting kind of late, so and I'm still waiting for the other one to glue up. So I'm gonna call it a night and pick up tomorrow. Also, I did goof a little bit and didn't have enough boards left, so this is a little weird. I'm going to deal with that. My plan was to just have this come out and then have a mitered edge and then shoot straight there. But I didn't really account for the fact that that wasn't going to sit purely against the wall, and then the fact that the top of the table saw isn't flush with the base. I may, when I do this, just shimmy that over a little bit. But the point is, yeah, I kind of goofed. So I've got these guys gluing on here, and I just screwed them in because it's not really the end of the world, and you're never going to see it. But I did want a nice crisp miter here, so that's kind of a bummer. I will do that over on the other side when that one's done. And I am also going to probably give this a little bit better sanding while it's in place, and then throw a coat of poly on it. But I really need both surfaces free to be able to do that. So, yeah, like I said, let's pick this up tomorrow and go from there. Alright, here we go. Got the traditional bench all cleaned off. That's another project I'm working on. I have now this lovely work surface I can put things on, either assembling things overflow from here or use some tools. I've got the belt sander, disc sander off in the corner. That I need to take care of and probably sell. So that's just there. Got the table saw in the middle, like that. A little piece of wood to cover it. Now I can actually use it, and if I want to, I can pull that out to get some more outfeed. Left the wall pretty much alone, though I did rearrange the pegboard a little bit. That cart is, like I said, still the same, just tucked in the corner all nice and neat. I did have to trim a little bit more off of this because I couldn't get the cart out. Got the drill press right there. It's just kind of sitting there for now. Lathe is there for storage. I may use it over there, or I may take it and put it over there when I'm using it. And the miter saw is sitting right here. I am eventually going to make a little bit of a sort of table for it and have some stops. And then I've got these little toggle clamps. At some point I'm going to make a little jig basically to keep the miter saw in place, and maybe the drill press where I just basically flip those little toggles over to lock it in place and can pop it off real easy in case I need to use this outside or somewhere else. Oh, and then also I've got the table saw hung. Cut some little slots with a Forstner bit, or cut some holes with a Forstner bit, then cut them out to make it like a deep kind of a hook. It's hard to see in there, but that's doing its thing. Got the shop vac in the corner. I'm gonna definitely probably use a little cyclonic filter before that, but when I get to it. And then I do have my compressor tucked underneath there. So that is the Woodshop all rearranged. Like I said, fresh workbenches, and now a lot better workflow, so I can actually get to do stuff. I have more workbenches, but somehow I feel like I have more space. So I hope this should work out really nice for me, and I think that's all for now, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you like little things like this and want to see some wood projects or some car projects, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.